What's up, your boy? If I don't know the reaction today, we have the man that took 2018 LeBron to 7, the career arc of Victor Oladipo. Oh my gosh, bro, Victor Oladipo. What? He's still in the league, right? Don't he play for the Heat now or something? Let's see. Oh damn! The last time he played was for the Heat. What team he play for now? I think he played in the Euros. He joined the. Oh, he in the G League for Milwaukee.
The scene for ya. It's the 2017-18 NBA season, and the Indiana Pacers, a team that, by the way, just traded their best player, are somehow 48-34 and in the playoffs. They're pushing LeBron James to 7 games in 2018 in the first round, and the guy carrying them is Victor Oladipo, who less than 2 years earlier most people had quietly written off. This is simply the story of Victor Oladipo, a star that was taken way too soon from us. It's the 2013 draft. The Magic have the second pick in a loaded draft. Who am I kidding? And honestly, taking Oladipo there is completely defensible. He was an explosive athlete, measured a 44-inch vertical at the combine, which is generally absurd for a two-guard. He's got the length, and he had the motor. He played well at Indiana under Tom Crean and showed real two-way instincts. The projection was real, but the situation he walked into, that was a problem from the start. Orlando had just lost their franchise superstar in Dwight Howard. Their franchise was in that weird stage where they weren't rebuilding fast enough to be bad on purpose, but they weren't anywhere close to competing either. And so, Oladipo is now playing 32 minutes a night on a team that finished 23-59 in his rookie year. And whatever he's learning it in a vacuum. There's no veteran star to refer to, no coherent system, and no real structure around him. He put up 13.8 points on 44% from the field. It's okay numbers for a rookie getting
Did them niggas go to the finals though? With the White and him?
his first real run. But the three-point shooting was a problem. He was shooting 30% his rookie and 31% his sophomore year. And his playmaking abilities were a problem, averaging 4 assists and 3 turnovers a game. The shot creation just wasn't there yet, and at least 9.5 court. Year 2, he takes a step. Year 3, his last in Orlando, he's up to 19.2 points a game. He's getting to the line more, and the defensive reputation is building. He averaged almost 2.5 stocks a game, showing flashes of one day becoming a dynamic two-way threat. But in his last year in Orlando, the Magic would finish 35-47, missing the playoffs. In his last year in Orlando as well, he would have a 53.4 shooting percentage, which is fine on paper, but it's not what you want from your number one option. To be fair, he was still developing. He was showing signs of growth every year. The issue was the rate of that development versus the patience the franchise had. And honestly, by 2016, Orlando looked at the roster, looked at what they had around them, and they decided they needed to swing for something different. It was time for a new era in Orlando. In June of 2016, the Magic would send Oladipo, Ersan Ilyasova, Domantas Sabonis for Serge Ibaka. In the moment, the read on Oladipo's portion of that deal was basic. He's a fine piece, but he's not the centerpiece. And when he got to OKC, nothing happened to change that read. Because here's the thing, he was
OKC versus Real Madrid. What the fuck?
playing with MVP Russell Westbrook in 2016-2017.
That nigga was getting no PT.
That was a historic usage situation. Westbrook that year used 41.7% of all of OKC's possession when he was on the court. 41.7. That is one of the highest single-season usage rates ever recorded in NBA history. The offense ran through him, and it had to run through him because that was the only way this team functioned after KD left. So where does that leave Oladipo? He's running off screens, he's catching and shooting, he's spotting up, and he's cutting. He finishes the year averaging 15.9 points and 2.6 assists. Solid numbers on paper, but his usage rate was only 22.1%, down from 27% in Orlando. The greater reps that he needed to keep developing his shot, he was not getting them in OKC. He was a complimentary piece, being evaluated like he should be a lead piece, and nobody's asking him to be one. His three-point shooting that year drops to 30.5%. The assist numbers are going backwards, and on paper, it looks like stagnation. The narrative was simple. He was a simple
Right, that nigga Steven Adams been in the league for so damn long. He on Houston now.
role player.
And
But
that nigga, he's still decent and play a good role.
maybe that's what he is. But then, Paul George tells Indiana he's leaving. Okay, here we go. Indiana traded Paul George to OKC to get back Oladipo and Sabonis in July of 2017. Many outside analysts called it a loss for Indiana. And look, I get it. Paul George was an all-star. On a pure talent evaluation, that's a hard trade to feel good about in the moment. But here's what Indiana misunderstood, that I think the broader basketball world missed. Oladipo wasn't a finished product. He was a guy who had been operating in a constrained role for 4 years. Put him in a system where he has the ball, where the offense is designed for him, where the coaching staff is building around his strengths. What do you actually get?
Oh my god, that's what the nickname is. Fucking, I forgot.
The answer, it turned out, was something genuinely special. In the 2017-18 season, Oladipo averaged 23.1 points, 5.2 rebounds, 4.3 assists, and
Damn, that nigga was whooping 23 points.
2.4 steals. His PER, player efficiency rating, jumped to 23.8, which put him in the same conversation as guard.
What was the bonus? About to slap this
Player
nigga
efficiency
ass.
rating jumped to 23.8, which put him
Like,
in the same
hey yo.
conversation as guards like DeMar DeRozan and Damian Lillard that year. His offensive rating on the Pacers was 113, which is genuinely good for a primary ball handler. But the shooting numbers are where I want to spend a second, because this is the thing that made the whole package work. He shot 47.4% from the field, 37.1% from 3 on 5.5 attempts per game, and 80.4%
That nigga kinda was like a mini Westbrook. He was explosive as hell.
from the line. His true shooting percentage was 57.8%. That's a legitimate, efficient offensive season, not a volume mirage. He was scoring well, not just scoring a lot. The three-point jump specifically from 30% in OKC to 37% in Indiana, that's not random variance. That's a guy who went back and reworked the shooting mechanics in the offseason. He talked about it publicly. He changed his footwork, he shortened his release, and he put in serious work on his pull-up game. You can see it in the film. His form in 2018 is just mechanically cleaner than it was ever in Orlando. And then, the defense. The defense this year was just phenomenal for him. His 2.4 steals per game led the entire NBA. His defensive rating that season was 102, which was excellent for a guard. He was one of maybe 6 or 7 players in the league that you can generally call elite on both ends. And he was doing it as the centerpiece of a team's offense,
And that's the league now. You gotta be two-way. He was a two-way guard.
which is exhausting in a way that doesn't always show up in the box score. He was all defensive first team, which showed us that he was a top 5 defender that year. He was all NBA third team. He was an all-star. He had 6 games with 30 or more points that season, including a 47-point explosion against Houston in February. He also did win the most improved player that year. And then, the playoffs, Indiana versus Cleveland. LeBron James, one of the most loaded versions of LeBron we've ever seen before the Laker era, going for his 8th straight finals appearance. And Indiana pushed him to 7 games.
No, but the East was so damn weak though. I ain't gonna lie, like the East was weak than a bitch. The East always been weak as hell.
We know how legendary 2018 LeBron is. There's no conversations about it. Leading the Pacers with 23 points, Oladipo was all over the board. He was legitimately giving LeBron James in 2018 problems, but they lost. Of course they lost. It was LeBron in 2018. But the point was, Oladipo's peak wasn't a regular season thing. It held up under playoff pressure against the best player on earth. It was a statement, and it felt like year one of something much bigger than that. But then, January 23rd, 2019, Indiana versus Toronto. Oladipo goes up with a defensive play. He comes down. He grabs his leg. And then he's on the floor, and the arena goes completely silent. And you can tell by the way his teammates are reacting that this isn't a normal injury. Ruptured quad tendon in his right knee. If you're not familiar with that injury, it's a tendon that connects your quad muscle to your kneecap. When it ruptures completely, you literally cannot extend your leg. You can't jump. You can't even decelerate. You can't push off. Everything that makes a basketball player requires that tendon to work.
And that shit killed him, man.
The average recovery timeline is 12 to 18 months. A 2019 study found that players who returned to play after a complete quad tendon ruptured averaged about a 30% decline in performance metrics compared to...
Oh, so that's got to be one of the worst injuries a basketball player could get? With the worst injury a basketball player could get? God damn.
Their pre-injury baseline. And
they said 30% of niggas decline after that injury.
That's just a physical reality, separate from the mental weight of trying to trust that knee again in game situations. He tried to return with Indiana in the following season. He got into 13 games before the knee started giving him problems again. Then the pandemic season. Then they traded to Houston midseason in January 2021, where he averaged 21 points in 20 games and actually looked decent. Some of the burst was still there, the pull-up was still working, but the efficiency was down. He shot 43% from the field in Houston, 31% from three. The ceiling just felt lower. Then, Miami, which on paper felt right. The Heat are a player development machine. Their culture is exactly what you want around a guy trying to rebuild his game from scratch. He had flashes there too. A 30-point game here, plus a strong defensive stretch. But another injury in his knees slowed him down. That's where the reality of the numbers post injury came to play. It's simple. This is not the same Oladipo we just fell in love with. And it's worth noting, his athleticism was the engine of everything. The steals came from elite foot speed and anticipation. The pull-up efficiency came from a first step that created real separation. The finishing at the rim came from explosion. When you lose that burst, even after doing everything right in rehab, the game changes around you in ways that it's simply just hard to reverse. He is still a useful NBA player, like genuinely, a guy who can score efficiently in the right role, who brings defensive awareness and who has enough playmaking to function as a secondary ball handler. But it's simply not 2018 Oladipo, and it probably will never be again. What I find myself coming back to though is a simple question. Does the injury define the story, or does the 2018 season define it? Because I argue